YouTube सुरू झालाय.
We'll start then.
स्टार्ट कर.
Yeah, you can start.
YouTube सुरू झालाय.
दोन माईक असतील ते एक बंद करायला लागेल.
डॉक्टर सुरू करताय ना. हा आता सुरू झालंय. हा आता येत. नाही, तुमचा आवाज नाहीये. हा आता बोला.
Kunji, why are we waiting?
नाही,
Now?
हा आता येतोय.
Hello?
हा बोला आता.
Hello, ऐकू येते का?
हो
Oh,
हो.
oh.
Yeah, we are starting.
एक बंद करावं लागेल, 2 ठिकाणी नका ठेवू माईक.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Hello, येते का?
हो हो
Hello.
हो येतोय आवाज.
Okay. Sorry for this technical glitch. It is indeed a honor for me to introduce Dr. Anil Kakodkar to all of you. Dr. Kakodkar is presently the Chancellor of Homi Baba National Institute and AACTE Distinguished Professor. His current engagements also include Chairman of the Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, Member of the Atomic Energy Commission, Chairman of Rajiv Gandhi Science and Technology Commission, Member of the Board of Trustees of Bharatiya Agro Industries Foundation, President of the governing body of Maharashtra Association for the Cultivation of Science, and several other assignments. As all of you know, Dr. Kakodkar was a director of BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center, from 1996 to 2000, and chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission from 2000 to 2009. He played a key role in the design and the construction of Dhruv reactor, which was the original concept and high-tech in nature. It was part of architects of India's peaceful nuclear tests in 1974 and 1998 at Pokhran. He is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Sciences, and Academy of Sciences, Maharashtra Academy of Sciences, and Indian National Academy of Engineering. He is the recipient of all the Padma awards. His Padma Vibhushan was given to him in 2009. He has been conferred honorary doctorate degree by more than 25 universities in India and has more than 50 awards from various social organizations and NGOs. Dr. Kakodkar is passionate about issues related to energy, education, and societal development. And today's topic is one initiative in that direction. Without much more time, I would now request Dr. Anil Kakodkar to enlighten us by his talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Professor Rao, President of Rotary Club of Pune Shivaji Nagar, Professor Rao, Professor Mrs. Rao, all the Rotarians present in the meeting, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed grateful to Rotary Club of Pune Shivaji Nagar for this opportunity to talk to you on the occasion of Science Day, which the country celebrated yesterday, on a topic which is very dear to my heart. Let me share my screen before going further. Is my screen visible?
Not yet. Not yet.
Now it is.
Yes,
Come.
yes, yes.
Now it is.
Okay, I'll make it full screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's full screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to talk to all of you today is about a concept sillage, which is actually the best of city and a village. And the aim is to realize a knowledge-inspired ecosystem for transforming rural India. Now, just to set the tone why this is important, I think we need to recognize that India was #1 country in the agrarian era. And the bar chart above in the screen shows the relative GDP of different countries normalized as a fraction of the total GDP of the world. And you would notice that till around 1700, India was a country with largest GDP in the world. And that was essentially the agrarian era. Of course, there have been several other factors which we do not have to go into at this moment. But that is around the time the industrial era dawned. And you notice that the India's share of GDP as a part of global GDP started declining. Now, this was also the era which kind of sort of coincided with the British ruling our country. And so you see this decline right up to 1970, and it's only now post independence that we see slightly better GDP compared to the rest of the world. So the question is, we were on the top of the world in agrarian era. We couldn't cope up with the industrial era. And now we are in knowledge era. And the question is, can we catch up at least now in the knowledge era with the best in the world? Because we are living in a competitive world. But in addition to catching up, becoming a competitive country worldwide, I think it is also important that we bridge the internal disparities, because disparities are growing. They are growing all over the world. But I think disparities in India are a matter of great concern and alarm. And it is in that context that we need to look at rural India and what is it that we need to do about this. So let us first look at, we are in the 75th year of our independence. We are all celebrating Azadi ke 75 Varsh. Now, India has achieved a lot, clearly. And I think it will be good to quickly look at what have we achieved in very broad terms and what are the challenges. Now, clearly, Indian democracy, we are the largest democracy in the world, and democracy in India has taken roots. We are the second largest population, soon to be the largest. We constitute a very large market for the world as a whole. We are one of the largest economy, which in my view is more because of our demographic dividend, and probably our potential is much higher, and I will be happy only if the per capita GDP or per capita income in India becomes comparable with the best in the world. Right now, we are talking about economy as a whole, country as a whole, and but even so, the youth of India has contributed to growth of economy, and geopolitically, India is one of the very important countries. Now, we are among the top in terms of agriculture, horticulture products, electricity production of many commodities like coal, steel, the road network, railway network, IT and communication industry, entertainment industry. So, these are big achievements which we often cite and we can be justifiably proud of. Our GDP consists of 50% service sector, 1/3 industry sector, out of which half is manufacturing, 1/6 agriculture. And it's important to note that remittances of Indian diaspora, which account for something like 17.5 million people, those remittances are about 3.4% of India's GDP. So in per capita term, these remittances are quite significant in terms of those who are making remittances. Now, as I said, there are also some serious issues with regard to disparity. For example, income share of top 0.1% is around 10 to 11%, and that of top 1% is around 22%. Similarly, the per capita income in rural areas is roughly half the per capita income in urban areas. Even so, the Gini index in rural areas is actually higher. And the Gini index of income, both in urban areas as well as rural areas, is actually rising, meaning the disparity is increasing. And you can see similar issues in many other things. I've taken medical or health sector, for example. We can boast of medical tourism as an important destination. We can provide world-class service in terms of Medicare. But while this is true, our ranking in healthcare has actually slipped to 150th place. And that is the challenge. Our Human Development Index still stands at around 129, while our neighbor Sri Lanka is at 71. So, so that's good achievements, but many challenges. The discordance between wealth creation and equity in opportunities is a serious matter. Now, this leads to instabilities and cliff edge situations, and we have seen some of them. For example, this reverse migration, great distress that we have seen when the lockdown was introduced in the recent pandemic, or for that matter, the climate crisis, depleting global resources and crisis arising out of that, the local and regional environmental crises. These are some of the issues which which do create a lot of instabilities of various kinds, threatening our very survival at times. And I think we need to be aware of that, at least after the pandemic or whatever we are talking about in terms of climate change. Now, the higher wealth creation and equity in opportunities at the base of socio-economic pyramid is the key. You know, when you create income at the higher end of the socio-economic pyramid, it doesn't percolate down as well. And so we have more disparities. And I believe in the theory being propounded by many people, including Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, that I think if there is larger income generated at the base of pyramid, it percolates into the whole system much better. Now, rural domain, where in fact even today the larger share of our population resides, needs a much deeper attention as it in this context, because I think there is a larger share of poor people who live in rural domain, and so if we do something where we empower rural domain and reduce disparities in the country, I think the country as a whole will get a big lift. At this time, I would like to quote what H.G. Wells had said: civilization is a race between education and catastrophe. And we are, as I said, these cliff edge situations are actually the harbingers of a catastrophe. And so are we losing the race between education and catastrophe? And this is what I'm going to talk about, and that is where that ecosystem which I mentioned in the beginning becomes very important. So we must leverage our demographic dividend through right quality education before it is too late. Now, so let me begin with education. For example, we have a very large education system in the country. Higher education environment or system, school education system, early childhood education system. And then we have to look at education at multiple levels, and they all should be interconnected with each other, and it will become very clear as I go along. So let me begin with our higher education system, and clearly these they must be both knowledge creators, take students all the way up to the frontiers, existing frontiers of knowledge, and create new knowledge, push those frontiers forward, as it were. And also value creator. We must be able to convert that knowledge into value, both the value in real term, but also the money value, which we cannot ignore. Now, we can essentially talk about value creation at three levels. For example, up to the frontiers of knowledge and building cutting edge technology is the top level. And so intensive high technology constitutes the main engine of economic growth in today's world. And this is happening, for example, many best universities in world, for example, in US, they contribute to, they generate revenue generation, not only by themselves, but the companies created by their alumnus and over a period of time. They contribute an annual revenues which are comparable to, in fact, in trillions of dollars annually, which is comparable to, in fact, India's GDP. Now, none of our education institutions are anywhere close to that, and that is one thing we should aim at. Now, this is important because, of course, we are doing much better these days compared to maybe a decade or 2 decades ago. But we should be conscious of the fact that, there are new knowledge domains, and because as a result of these new knowledge domains, there are new technologies which are emerging, which exploit new knowledge domains. For example, genetics, quantum physics, cognitive and brain sciences, and so on. Now, while we have done quite well in terms of our scientific output, publication record, I think we are number 3 country in global publication. So, and that our rate of publication is quite high, and quality also is reasonably good, and it will improve. So while we are doing well on knowledge generation front, on the conversion of technology of these new domains of science or knowledge, I think that if you look at where we are and where some of the advanced countries are, it seems to me that the gap actually is growing, and that is worrisome. We want to be competitive in the world as a whole. So, so this is a challenge as far as the first level of value creation is concerned. While we are done very well in IT sector, we are also, I think, well positioned to take advantage of AI and machine learning and so on and so forth. At the second level, I think we should be conscious about the procedural knowledge to create value. The the professional activities could be in engineering, medicine, agriculture, wherever, and we must leverage the state-of-art knowledge, technologies, convert them into professional implementation, professional practice, and that actually supports core economies. But I would say that supports the economies by way of muscle work and nerve work and marginal brain activity, and it contributes to economy, but in the sense of global competitiveness, that is, I would call it a peripheral economy contribution. And the last is leveraging resources to pay for imports, because if our import export is not very favorable, you have to export raw materials, and this unfortunately is still happening in our country. We export all kinds of raw materials without adequate value addition in the country. That applies to iron ore, that applies to ores of exotic materials like titanium and others, and many other things. So the value addition in the country is not at the level that it should be. Now, so we should be conscious about this for if we have to take India to the forefront of global competition. We should also recognize that we need to spread this education throughout the country, not just restrict it in urban areas, because it is the spread of quality higher education that, if you make it accessible to all, that is the key to eliminate disparities. At this point, we should also recognize that, in these 3 levels, the knowledge intensity is the highest at level 1 and progressively goes down to level 2 and level 3. And I would say, if you take an average of our activities, the knowledge intensity of our activities, that average would be closer to 2 and not quite at 3. Now, knowledge empowers people But we should also recognize that knowledge enhances exploitation potential. So unless the values inculcated in fellow human beings are at the right place, in fact, knowledge can also contribute to exploitation. And this is what Gandhi used to be saying. He was against technology because technology was being implemented in a manner that is exploitative. So the knowledge domain should also worry about the human aspects, humanities, and so that we get the best of knowledge, but we also implement that in a manner which is not exploitative of anybody. Everybody makes progress, and that is the key to a harmonious world. Now, with that background, let me come to the rural domain. Now, in the rural domain, let's see what the picture is. And this is according to the socio-economic caste census of 2011, because subsequent to that, the data is not yet available. We hope it will be available soon enough. But it looks like in the rural domain, we have something like 18 crore households. Out of that, only 30% households can make a living on the basis of cultivation, agriculture. And a whooping 50%, their living is dependent on manual casual labor. They also work in agricultural fields along with others, but they don't own that. So their income is more like daily wage earners. Then there is, smaller fraction in terms of part-time, full-time domestic service, individual activities like rack picking. Then there are own account enterprise, small number. So when we talk about rural domain, we must talk about agriculture, but we must be conscious about the fact that while that would help 30% of the households, there is a question of livelihood of 50% people who are dependent on kind of daily sort of casual work on a daily basis. Now, in this background, let us look at what are the opportunities in rural areas. Opportunities in rural areas are, of course, agriculture primarily, and actually, as we talk about rural areas, suddenly agriculture appears, but most of us are not conscious of the fact that in reality, that is only 30% of rural population. But I think that's important because that also provides daily wages to a majority of people. We should also focus on allied activities like dairy, like poultry, and several others. Each one of them, agriculture, allied activities, they can all be leveraged to create large enterprises, as some people have created. And then another important thing is value addition to agri-produce that can contribute to a significant income. But in the knowledge era, it appears to me that we should also take a large number of decentralized knowledge-based industrial activities in rural domain. They could be service sector activities. For example, IT can give a lot of livelihood to people. And if service sector activities contribute to 50% of GDP, I think if you mobilize rural youth to contribute to service sector activities after properly empowering them, you can imagine how much contribution can come to the economy of the country. But it's not restricted to service sector. We can also create a lot of contribution in the manufacturing sector, because manufacturing can now be done in a decentralized mode. For example, 3D printing. Now 3D printing can be located in a room next to a cow shed, and you can do both animal husbandry, dairy, and manufacture of high-tech component together, provided rural youth are properly prepared for that. So if we encash opportunities in service sector as well as in industry sector, along with the opportunities in agriculture, allied activities, and value addition to agri-produce, it looks to me that we have greater opportunities in rural areas compared to the opportunities available in urban areas. The problem is the education access in urban areas is little better. In fact, rural people all migrate to urban areas for education, and we sort of train them in a manner that they can go back to rural areas and create an enterprise. Of course, now it has started happening bit by bit, but I think our basic framework needs to be corrected. And if that happens, I think it can make a major transition, capacity building of human resource well beyond the traditional rural agri domain, and exposing them to new age opportunities is really the key. And for example, we can quickly enlarge contribution to service sector from rural domain. And this is the whole idea behind Silage, that we create that capacity building in rural areas. So a silage ecosystem is a sustainable. 1 minute. Is a sustainable integrated block level development through synergy between education, research, and development. Now, the idea is that you talk about a block level and set up facilities for demonstration of potential technologies which can benefit the economy in that area. And we set that up in an higher education institution so that through outreach from a higher education institution in the area, we can engage with people who are interested in enhanced livelihood. We can also engage with the schools, leveraging the technologies, the education technologies. And we can also engage the research and development community, which are in that higher education institution, to both assimilate these technologies and also create new technologies, or at least solve problems in implementing those technologies. And when connected with microfinance, I think we can actually contribute to a whole activity which kind of helps an overall livelihood in terms of that is economic activity goes up, but also there is an empowerment domain, empowerment of students in schools, in colleges, and you know, in addition to that empowerment, leveraging education technologies, they also get exposed to the both life skills in terms of soft skills, but also hard skills. They see firsthand the economic activities going on in the region. And so this is the kind of ecosystem we should aim at. And I have always felt that rather than regimenting this process, that do this, do that in a copybook fan, because you know things are diverse, we should understand the principles, understand the basic elements of that ecosystem, and implement that ecosystem, but in a holistic manner. You can begin anywhere, but you should reach the whole which does not leave anything aside. Everything should get incorporated. So, under the Rajiv Gandhi Science and Technology Commission, we had done several experiments in this area. Of course, where technology we have leveraged from BARC. BARC has a lot of rural use technologies. And for example, the first experiment was at Pandharpur. There is a place, institution called Sri Vitthal Education and Research Institute. Now, at that place, a rural human and resource development facility was set up. And along with that, there was an education framework set up. That institution was connected with National Knowledge Network, and through wideband connectivity over a long distance, 15 to 20 kilometers, schools as far away as 15 kilometer, 20 kilometer were connected. And one could see engagement of school children in leveraging these communication facilities and leveraging technology for education. And we had great support from IIT and MKCL and other institutions. Now, while this kind of holistic work was going on a large scale, there was also a question about whether this could be made sustainable. And so, with the help of BIOF, 4 districts were selected where larger scale livelihood programs were implemented. And it was in fact found that many of these continued to remain active, were sustainable. They were sustainable even beyond the project period. In fact, activities at Pandharpur are still going on when the project support has ended long time back. Here are some of the activities which are at work at Pandharpur, and you can see the diverse nature of different activities and also the interconnectedness. I told you about connecting education across different levels, but we can also look at education as consisting of skill and training, vocational education, and education in research. And I think implementing education in rural domain, I think we need to connect them all, and that actually produces lots of dividends. And this was a very satisfying experience. The next experiment was, in fact, it is still in progress at Gadchiroli, at Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. And just like the rural human and resource development facility that was set up at Pandharpur, here in the university campus at Gadchiroli, a science and technology resource center was set up. And consistent with the tribal economic activities in that area, this center focuses on aquaculture for livelihood, and MAPSU has given a lot of help as a technical partner. But it has made a big difference using ponds and fish culture. I'm told that the earnings out of fish culture has significantly gone up in that area. This bamboo craft is another area where there is focus, and IIT Bamboo Studio and the Sitara, they contributed a lot to this. And in fact, now there is a course which has been adopted by Gondwana University as a university course, which is, so idea is that on one side engage with people on their livelihood activities, but also engage with the university academics to make it more relevant to people in that area. And we made a good beginning with bamboo, and we'll also go to other areas. Same thing is true with non-timber forest produce. And then, as I told you, we have already this incubation and academic program development there. So this is another form of these activities. And as I have listed, we have a program of decentralized R&D funding, and we do that for most of the universities in the state. But in Gondwana, this is particularly significant because this is along with an engagement with STRC, and that has made, I think, a significant improvement in that area. Now, of course, it will take a while to first root that thing, because these are all cultural issues at the level of tribals, at the level of the people in the so-called semi-tribal or semi-urban areas, and also at the level of university. This requires a mindset change, but things are showing extremely good sign as we go along. The third experiment, which we are just beginning, is at Nandurbar, and this also is done under the aegis of Kaviyatri Bahinabai North Maharashtra University, and they have set up at Nandurbar a tribal academy, which was already there in their plan, but we are leveraging that tribal academy to locate that science and technology entrepreneurship resource node. And at Nandurbar, the experiment is significantly larger, in the sense we have a number of villages in the hilly area, which is tribal, and also a number of villages in the plain area, which is also tribal. And plus these activities of capacity building of youth done at Tribal Academy, Nandurbar, and plus the larger university engagement at R&D level, at professional level being done at Jalgaon, at the university headquarters. So, and in this, we have very active engagement of BIOF, active engagement of the Krishi Vignan Kendra Nandurbar, and also active engagement of MKCL Knowledge Foundation. And they are all, along with university, they are working in a coordinated way and wanting to make a difference. And I do hope that with this, we would see some significant impact in terms of the development of the area. Now, to sum it up, what is the architecture, silage architecture that we are talking about? Now, for me, the silage architecture, it consists of various blocks that you see on this picture. First of all, a tier 1 higher education institution, maybe one of the IITs or ICERs, or institutions which have, and as I told you in that my earlier slide, a great knowledge activity pushing frontiers of knowledge, and also a great value creation activity, both in terms of technology as well as other human values. So you need a multidisciplinary science and technology based research, or it should be a largish R&D organization. But such tier 1 higher education institution should be the mentor institution for taking up this activity. they could in turn engage with a higher education institution located in rural domain. For example, the Gondwana University uh, uh, at Gadchiroli, or the Tribal Academy at Nandurbar, or for that matter, Sweri at Pandharpur. Now, in addition, as I said, we should set up a self-sustaining technology and business resource center. In fact, it's more than an incubator. And so the tier 1 institution should engage with this self-sustaining technology business center for technologies in the initial phase, or maybe on a continued basis. Also for capacity building of the local people, including those of the higher education institution in the area. And simultaneously, they should engage with higher education institution in the context of engaging in research activities to solve local problems, and also engage with the schools. So leveraging NKN, leveraging knowledge technologies. So the higher education institution engages with this technology business resource center, but also engages with the schools in the area, and the two together engage with these demonstration centers at different places in that area for purpose of the livelihood support, setting up of several self-help groups, creating farmer producing organization, and bring them the financial support, create financial inclusion. If we do that, then I think there will be a kind of self-reliant. No, these days we call it Atmanirbhar. Why can't we make our villages Atmanirbhar? And I think it should be our ambition to ensure that every village is a net exporter. If every village becomes net exporter, the economy will automatically go up. And so this is what we should aim at. So the silage, to me, as I said, it's not just best of a city in a village, which it is, but more than that, we have to create a digital city in a modern village, and that kind of empowerment of local people. So we're talking about a knowledge-based ecosystem for integrated education, research, technology development and deployment, as well as livelihood and capacity building in rural areas. And that is what we should aim at. Now, I told you about some of the experiments which were done and which are in progress. And doing it at block level, I think it should be possible for us to engage with the decentralized governance system that India is trying to achieve. The unit of development governance is actually a block, or the Jilla Parishad, or things of that kind. So we should create these ecosystems on a scale where one could engage with the local governance institutions, and then in fact they can participate in the development programs of the government, creating plans bottom up. Not that everything has to be done in Delhi or Mumbai. The local plan today, I think it is being made by the bureaucracy based on government directions. But now I think people can participate it with a greater knowledge, greater insights, and make the best use of the available support system. But having said that, I think there are examples where you find that these concepts get validated. I just want to give two examples. One example is of Shri Vittalrao Joshi Charities Trust, which operates at a place near Chiplund. It's on Bombay-Goa highway, halfway close to Chiplund. where they have set up a significant ecosystem. The institution is engaged in education at the school level and professional level. There is a medical college and a medical hospital. In fact, a multi-speciality medical hospital there. And in addition, there is engagement in agriculture, livelihood, and sports. There is a great Olympics size stadium there, and this has been going on. Of course, some facilities have come new, medical college is new, but this activity has been going on for last 40-45 years. And look what has happened. The economy of Savarde village, where this place is located, has risen to around 3 crores a month since last few years. And this is more than the economy of Chiplun, which is the nearest city. So, in fact, people they have started relocating to Savarde in preference to Chiplun, and the demand for land has gone up. So that is the power of economic upliftment. And the director of that place, medical director, Dr. Suvarna Patil, in a mail to me, she says, I witnessed decline in migration of rural population during pandemic time. And in fact, many urbanites have relocated themselves in villages. They have settled with their jobs here. Earn and learn scheme of our institute have taken a leap after making technical education available to rural youth. In true sense, Derwan and surrounding is a sillage. So what I'm trying to say is creating such ecosystem does make a lot of difference. And in turn, we can say gone are the days when people have to migrate from villages to cities and live in money order economy and things of that kind. There is an even bigger example, which only I read in newspapers, but it's very inspiring. Mr. Sridhar Vembu, I'm sure many of you must have heard about it, of Zoho Corporation. Zoho Corporation was headquartered in Bay Area, I think, in United States, a major global corporation. Now, Zoho Corporation or Mr. Vembu has relocated its headquarters from Bay Area in San Francisco to Tenkasi, his village, hamlet, 650 kilometers from Chennai. So as of now, Zoho has 2 rural offices, one in Tenkasi and other in Renigunta in Andhra Pradesh, with 500 of its 9,300 employees globally working out of these. The plan is to have many more of its 8,800 India-based employees working out of non-urban India. And the vision is to create small offices in rural areas and attract more talent, local talent, through Zoho University. They have set up a university itself, and they empower local people, train them, and they can engage global activity. And I am sure if Gandhiji was living today, he would have been very happy to see this. And this is called rural empowerment, and not the bus that we see. Everybody go to Pune, Mumbai, from there everybody go to United States or Europe. That's okay. We are proud of the impact we have made on the global economy, but it doesn't help us as much as this one would do, because of cross-fertilization of ideas that would take place, intermixing of people across different strata, and the mentoring and training of rural people. So when I heard this, and I'm sure there are many more examples, and I'm sure all of you might have come across such examples. The point is, I think we must learn from these examples and create ecosystem which will make that transformation, which is so important. Now, I have come towards the end of my talk. As I said in the beginning, knowledge multiplies power, and through knowledge, we can empower human beings uh, either to become powerful,
Mhm.
but in an exploitative way. And that I would call is an animal instinct. All of us are, of course, part of animal kingdom. So there is an animal instinct and there is also a human instinct. The human values have been very painfully inculcated as a part of the civilizational evolution. Now, what is important is the power that we get through knowledge is more used in a humane way for welfare of everybody around us, both human beings as well as nature, and not to be exploitative as the animal instinct would tend us to do, which is actually, in fact, is happening. It's happening both in the capitalistic ideology as well as socialistic ideology. And I think that should change. Inculcating human values through mentoring and practice is the key to sustainable welfare societies, even as knowledge becomes the force multiplier for human capability. So, as Gandhiji had said, there is enough on earth for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. And I think leveraging knowledge and technologies emerging therefrom, I think we can make this world a much better place than we have brought it to so far. So with that time to conclude, we must all move towards an enlightened society from a pure transactional mindset. A trader's mindset is pure transactional. And we all live in the society and we all have to earn a living. So money is, we cannot divorce money. Money is important. But while transactional activities will remain, uh, if it remains restricted to only transactional activity, then I think you actually don't inculcate values. You may go to temple, listen to great discourses, learn a lot of philosophy, but it's like knowledge on a pedestal. It doesn't translate into real values as one should be practicing. But on the other hand, if knowledge starts engaging with both society and the economic activities instead of remaining on a pedestal, a great Mahatma coming to temple and giving discourse in the evening, but not engage with the society, and so on and so forth. So once this knowledge starts engaging with society and economy, then the mindset actually changes from a transactional mindset. Transactional activities would remain anyway. We cannot get rid of them. But from there, it moves to entrepreneurial mindset. You create value, you create something new, and there is a joy in that creation. And it is that joy which creates better human beings rather than, I made 5% more than you or 3% less than you and things like that. So that is the important thing, that we should transform our, not just to rural setting, rural, urban, entire societal setting. We should. So the knowledge, instead of sitting on a pedestal, and it has to become integrated with the society and the economy. And that is the concept of silage in the new age society, in rural context. I hope whatever I said, you would have find it of some use. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Shall I
Yeah, yes, you can.
stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It was so nice. I have been hearing this silage from you for a long time, and this is the first time I had a exposition to hear the concept. And it's not only remained a concept, but there are case studies where success stories are also available. That's very important. And I'm sure our Rotarians who do a lot of work in rural areas in economic upliftment of villages find a lot of material for implementation from your talk. And in your next visit to Pune, we would definitely like to meet you personally and talk to you and get guidance from you as to develop such technologies for rural India.
Thank you.
If any of our members have
Yes.
any,
Dr. Rao, I would like to ask a question.
yes.
I feel that one area where we have not paid enough attention, which could be done in villages and elsewhere also, but is aquaculture. Aquaculture could be a very good revenue generator and a income generator anywhere in India, not just limited to this coastal line. What do you think is the prospect of aquaculture?
Yeah, this is very true. In fact, I gave example of Gadchiroli. Now, MAFSU, which is university in Nagpur on the veterinary and fish culture and all that thing. They have helped us in in Gadchiroli. They have created a lot of tanks where they collect rainwater, and of course they hold rainwater, so it serves water needs for agriculture at least for several months. Now the same tanks have been used to develop this aquaculture, as you said, and the fish seeds have been brought. They have been reared, and again, I have not gone there, but some of my colleagues, they have told me that now the Gadchiroli market, you see much more fish in Gadchiroli market than it was earlier. And now they are facing the challenge of accessing markets to other areas which are away. And in fact, one of the target could be to also access Nagpur market, for example.
Yeah.
And it obviously has made a significant difference to livelihood of those people. So you're absolutely right.
Can I get in touch with this MAPSU? What is it?
MAPSU is a university, regular university,
Okay.
public funded university in Nagpur.
Okay.
And not just aquaculture, they are also into, for example, goat rearing and other aspects of animal-based livelihood activities.
Okay. Thank you.
I can give you the contact, Avinash.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to make an observation because you mentioned about self-help groups in rural areas. The women are really very, very now powerful. They handle thousands of rupees. But what I think is there are no vocational skills or training programs addressed to self-help groups. We can really exploit their energy. They really are looking forward to have something to do. They want to do some other work, but there are no openings. And I think even including Rotary, they can think of having some vocational training courses for self-help groups as such, because that's the infrastructure available now with us, and we have to train them, giving proper vocational training, because they have tremendous powers. They do transactions of thousands of rupees without any, that kind of education to them. Manage very well the account.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. And I would say, of course, we are not got into training in financial services domain yet. we started training. We began with training in bamboo and fish culture, and also I think rice cultivation and areas like that. But we should utilize this. For example, I mentioned that on bamboo there is both a certificate course and a higher level course run by the university, and I see no reason why we cannot run. And they did this. These courses don't have to be degree or diploma. Even ordinary certificate courses are good enough, and I see no reason why university activities cannot engage with local people at that level. And that, I think, is an important element. A beginning has been made. I think there is same intention of doing the same thing at Nandurbar as well. But well, these are all, as I told you, these are cultural activities. So it doesn't happen. You tell them do it and it doesn't happen that way. It picks up slowly. But you're absolutely right. I think that is what capacity building in true sense is, in my view.
Opportunity to interact with Dr. Suvarna Patil from
Yeah.
Derwan. I visited couple of times, and all her workers and girls, to teach them how do you go for childhood malnutrition reduction in that
Yeah.
area. What kind of locally available foods you can think of, and you can teach the mothers, or you can teach through self-help groups. But that is, I mean, fantastic setup, and it's very, very nice. You feel again and again you should visit the Derwan area.
One of the characteristics of that place is full of very passionate and dedicated people.
Yes, indeed.
And that I think is an important ingredient to success of such programs. So,
Yes.
but yeah, Derwan is a great example to follow.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
There are no more questions. Can we conclude the meeting, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much once again, sir. Then please let us know when you will be in Pune next time.
Yeah.
We'd like to meet you personally.
Thank you so much for patient listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.